Luke Ramey with Be Good People, and I want to thank you for joining us on our YouTube page. This is episode number 25 for us, and it's not even a real video episode, but we have been having a case spike of COVID here in Putnam County, Tennessee, which is where Curtis and I record. And because of that, we've decided to enact a little bit of distancing, masking up, things like that help our neighbors stay safe. And because of that, we've gone to an audio-only recording, kind of from each other's houses. We connect over the internet and do an audio recording. And those are available over at Podbean, our Podbean website, or anywhere you get podcasts. You can get that at Apple Podcasts, Google Play Store, Spotify. You can get it anywhere. But you can also get, in the description of this video, you can find a link that goes right to our RSS feed, and it'll drop it in whatever podcast player you use on your phone, straight from our Podbean site. So I just wanted to say thanks for joining us. We are including the audio-only version right here after this video. There'll just be an image on the screen with audio underneath it. So you can definitely just listen to it right here on YouTube if you'd like. Or you can join us over on our Podbean site and tune in there. So if you'd like to be a part of our Patreon program, go ahead and join up. The link is in our description below. We would love to have you be a part of our network of people. We get together a couple times a month and jump on a Zoom call and have these same discussions that Curtis and I have, we have with a group of people. Very similar topics. And a lot of times we focus a little bit more local to where everybody is. People are from all over the place, but we want to know what's going on there and how are you getting involved. And so that's a huge part of what we do. But anyway, check out this audio version of episode 25 as we look at Why We're Polarized by Ezra Klein, specifically talking about the media, the big bad media, and their influence on us and our influence on them. Thanks again for joining us. Guys, it is Luke Ramey,
Curtis Looper,
and we're back with a Be Good People podcast. We are audio only again this week, as we're keeping some distance with cases on the rise, but hopefully leveling out. That was totally hopeful. I didn't look at numbers at all.
I looked at it right before we started. Last week when we decided to jump down, it was like 33 per 100,000.
Yeah.
And I checked today. I was like, hopefully it's going down, and it's like 41 now, 41 new cases per day per 100,000. So it's like, okay.
No dice.
Great. Yeah.
Well, so we're back audio only, but I think that's all right. You know, actually, most people interact with our podcast by listening to it anyway. So
yeah,
that's okay. I do. You know, when we record it this way, because we're not getting together either. We're keeping our distance, of course, and for other reasons. Honestly, Curtis, I just don't like being around you. But we're keeping our distance, so the audio quality is lower, and I do hate that. But you know, you've got a fancy mic, don't you?
I do. Yeah.
See, I'm not using a fancy mic. You'd think I would, but
yeah. I mean, you just take one from the studio, right? I mean, you're
I could. I mean, that's the thing. Like, I'm really phoning it in here, you know?
Yeah. There's really no excuse, I think, on your part.
No.
It's something you need to reevaluate a little bit.
What are we on? Is this episode 6 of the series of Why We're Polarized? Is that where we're at? I feel like that is where we are. I think it's.
I know that we're on the downhill of this book. I think we've only got. Let me see here. We've only got 4 more chapters after this, so this is chapter 6.
Yeah,
I think that means we're on episode 7.
Yeah. Episode 7 then. So this book has been good. It's been good conversation starter, and it's incredibly relevant. Like at least I think so. Like the topics are relevant to where we are right now.
It's very good, like mirror for how you come into the conversation regarding politics.
Yep. And we had an election this last week in Putnam County.
Yeah.
Were you able to get out and vote, or did you early vote? You sound like an early voter to me.
I almost did, and then some stuff came up, and I couldn't make it the Saturday it ended.
Yeah.
But Yeah, my polling place, I was able to go pretty early, and it's usually not very. I mean, it's a state primary. But nobody was there.
I was literally the only person voting in Northeast Elementary when I was there.
Yeah,
my polling place.
We're at the community center, and there was nobody there.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but
did
you
your
know,
part.
went out and did my part. Tried to ruin government.
Did you see who won the Democrat nomination for the Senate race?
I didn't even look.
Marquetta Bradshaw won.
Yeah.
So she beat.
She did.
That's
who I voted for. I don't normally.
Yeah, she's really great.
I thought so too.
She went against Mackler. Was that his name?
Yes.
He was leading in the polls. Had pulled in like $1.76 million. She had raised $8,400, and it wasn't even close. Like she beat him by like over 11 points.
Yeah,
it was insane. Like I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe
by me saying that I voted for her, I want to make sure that we understand that it was in spirit, because of course I would never register as a Democrat and vote in the Democratic primary.
Well, I mean, with this one, I don't know how they did it in Northeast, but when I went in, you had to pick one.
I had to point
ticket.
one.
Yeah.
I pointed to one.
Yeah, so I mean, it's kind of telling there.
Yeah,
but I'm happy to have these the Republican attack ads over. Finally.
Yes, yeah, it is nice.
That got intense real quick there at the end.
Oh gosh, yeah. So we've had some local politics and stuff going around. And I'll tell you what, that stuff out in Monterey, just locally, I don't feel like it was like knockdown drag out.
No,
but
I didn't really follow it.
It was I don't know. I just hate local brutal is way worse than national brutal. Like it feels.
You're gonna run into them at the dollar store.
You're gonna see that guy again. And so that's But anyway, we had politics this week. We had an election this week. So it's kind of fresh in our minds, these topics. And I think one of the things, chapter 6, what we're getting into is some media stuff, right?
Yeah, it's media and just kind of recognizing that we are in a new era of media consumption, something that we haven't ever seen in the country, and something that even in the age of the internet has not been, found a firm like holding in our lives and how we, communicate with those that we disagree with or absorb information that might run contrary to what we believe.
Well, and I'll say this. So just media in general. Okay. Yeah. So I consumed, this was Friday. Mm-hmm. I guess it was Friday. I consumed 7 hours of YouTube, all about a specific camera working with a specific gimbal. Yeah. 7 hours of it. I consumed everything I possibly could because I was buying the gimbal. It was going to show up. I wanted to know everything I knew, mm-hmm. before it. So it showed up and I'm good. But that's that's the kind of way that we consume media. So I'm interested in something. I go out and I find mm-hmm. a bunch of that and I cram it all in and I consume it very, very quickly. Right. Yeah. And then the other thing I'm thinking about when I'm thinking about consuming media, I think of The Office. The Office rolls. If I have downtime, if there's a silent moment in the house, flip on the TV, Netflix rolls.
It's just background.
Office. It's just running. I might be paying attention. I might be taking a call. Like
some people have jazz or classical music in the background, and
I've got NBC
witty Michael Scott
NBC favorites. So it will be either Friends or The Office rolling in the background of my house.
Did you? So I guess you're going to get what's it called? Peacock, the Peacock or something.
That's
the new NBC streaming service.
Well, but The Office won't be on there, will it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
The Office is?
That's where it's going because it's leaving the Netflix at the end of this year.
Friends too? I thought it was going to HBO.
It might. I know that on NBC they're going to have extended episodes and
they're owned by the same company anyway, aren't they?
Yeah, NBC owns the Office.
No, but HBO, that's owned by the same company.
I don't know about that.
Maybe I could be wrong. I don't know. That's not what this podcast is about. I mean, we could definitely get into it though.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking about my media. So I roll things in the background.
Yeah.
And I intensely binge on something, on information I want to know.
Yeah.
I listen to podcasts when I'm in the car. I'm
I was
listening
about
to
to say,
podcasts or audiobooks.
I've
You know what
got
I mean?
my Bluetooth in as soon as I'm logging in the morning, and I'm just first 2 or 3 hours. I'm listening to either like the headlines of the morning or someone like diving deep on a thought or a policy that's getting argued in Washington. So, I mean, and it could be anything from that to like, you know, a podcast on a game I'm playing. You know what I mean? Like, there's so much information. It's funny. I saw a post, and this is just the difference between like just now and 50 years ago, like in the 70s. There was a picture of this girl who was like 13 or 14 when A New Hope had come out, Star Wars. And she wanted to make X-Wing costume like Luke Skywalker is wearing when he blows up the Death Star.
Yeah.
And this is before the internet, before, I mean, even magazines, you know, on niche subjects. So she had to go and watch the movie like 6 or 7 times just for that one scene. And she was taking notes, and she had a flashlight to put everything, you know, make the designs for her cosplay. And now, like, you've got 5 or 10 YouTube videos that'll teach you that, all competing for that space of that one little, someone's wanting to make an X-Wing costume. Well, you know what I mean?
But that's the thing, though. I'm 39 years old. When my dad was 39, he didn't consume media like this at all.
No.
Nobody did. And so, you know, part of me is like, we just consume media differently. And I think that's kind of what he's talking about. And obviously, when we look at the news now, we consume it like it's just media. And maybe it is. I mean, is that what it is now? Is that?
I honestly think so. It's a space for entertainment. So all of even politics has to be entertaining now. Like, no one watches C-SPAN. We've had C-SPAN on forever. Yeah. And the views on it are always, and it is, if you could find a better example of like primary source than C-SPAN, it'd be a pretty hard find, you know, like it's literally these boring briefings. You have to watch it for 3 hours to get, you know, a few articles or a few paragraphs for an article. You know what I mean? Or you can watch, you know, the 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock opinion piece, and it'll tell you what to think and how stupid they are for thinking it, or how smart they are for thinking it.
Depending on what you're watching. But I just think, you know, that's what it is. And you see like people, well, Donald Trump is notorious for, you know, or his press secretary, you know, yelling at, you know, the mainstream media, like even calling it the mainstream media, which to me is like everything, right? I mean, that's like, if you're writing an article on anything, you're the mainstream media at this point. I mean, and so I guess part of me is like, okay, we absolutely consume media, and now news is a part of media, which it maybe wasn't always. And I think he said it kind of was.
So you see a lot of the boomer memes where it's like, I wish news was delivered like it was back in the day, you know, like people are unbiased. And there was a reason for that. It was because there wasn't a lot of places to go get information. So you wanted the monopoly of the 6 or 7 o'clock slot. You know what I mean? So they were trying not to offend anyone. They didn't want to corner a market or a demographic, because that's not good for their ads. Like the people selling, paying for those segments are these ad companies, and they are wanting as many people to see it as possible. So before,
he didn't want to target a specific identity,
right?
Because there's no guarantee that what's on before and on after is that identity, right? I mean, that's
the ratings came in, and it you know, the Jimmy Fallons always do better than the I don't know who's a polarizing guy. I'm blanking now, but you know, Jimmy Fallon's pretty, you know, across the board, pretty bland, but like good for a laugh.
But a Trevor Noah is a little bit more.
Yeah, exactly. Like a Trevor Noah, or I was trying to think of a right wing guy, like a, you know, Tucker Carlson. He's not it's not really the same thing, but it's you know, a political show, just like Trevor Noah.
Absolutely. So that's like this. So we're consuming media more, and in different ways than what we used to. And now news is media, like no doubt about it. It is media directed to a certain type of person, available in multiple formats everywhere.
Yeah, and
So
Ezra, I think
it's just different now.
we had mentioned that Ezra owns or I think he still owns part of it. That Vox, he founded it.
Yep. That's right.
And they were asking him when he started it, like, who are you competing against? You know, are you going against like the CNNs or like the 538
or something? Yeah.
And he was like, no, I'm competing with YouTube videos. You know, like, like he's competing with you going and binging Office. You know, like that's just how we are now. Like we have access to this all the time, and it's all at once. And if you are paying attention to politics, he's saying that you're coming in because it means something to you, which means that you've got a side that you're rooting for.
You had a side before you got there.
Yeah, exactly.
That's kind of what it is, yeah.
And so these places know that, and they are putting out some of the most polarizing crap that you could find just so they can get a repeat customer, so they can tell their advertisers, hey, people come here, you know?
Yeah. Because, I mean, like, in general, I like to, I like to be sarcastic and have a little fun at other people's expense sometimes. Yeah. And so if I'm going to pick up a news source and they're having some fun at the expense of someone that I don't align with and isn't me, you know what I mean? Yeah. And then I also find some things funny about, I'm going to come back, right? Yeah. Because I'm going to be like, that's funny. That's my kind of humor. You know what I mean? Like,
there's a reason that The Onion does so well. It's because, it's this desperate, sarcastic, people that are seeing society just collapse in on itself.
Yes. Yeah. And so I come back as a repeat customer because I'm like, I'm liking the tone they're going to take with people either that I like or people that I don't necessarily line up with. I like the tone they take with both of them.
And in the era of Facebook, sharing is the main drive of views. And he says that people curate their Facebook page with articles sometimes they don't even read, just to show like this headline is who I am. And everything it goes against is who I'm not. We kind of saw this when you went rogue on the video naming.
Oh, yes.
And thumbnails. What was the name of that one where it was like not the Panic and Hysteria, but it was
martial law in
martial.
The and I used an image from like Beirut or somewhere. Like it was not. It was not the United States. It was not the United States.
No, it was like tanks, and we're there looking scared, shocked, and I keep up with the metrics, and we got a lot of shares on that one. And so I look at the timelines of these guys who are sharing it. They obviously had not read or listened to the podcast because the rest of their feed was like, COVID is a hoax. I'm like, buddy, if you're sharing that, you did not listen to this. Yeah. And then there was that was one comment of it was like, you guys are idiots. And it was very much because we were like inviting those guys in and then they didn't like to hear what we had to say. So
well, and I think and we did the Panic and Hysteria, and we did
you can't tell me to stay home.
You can't tell me to stay home. Like, and I did those things because I wanted them to be that. That was. I mean, that's what I said. I was wanting this to be a little like clickbaitish. You know what I mean? Maybe that will get more people like us. I mean, it was an honest approach, and we kind of said that's on our feel. You know what I mean? Like, that didn't feel right. Also, Facebook said we couldn't advertise. We kept doing it.
Well, I mean, I don't get that at all because whatever. Yeah. But it was just funny.
But I'm happy to not do that. But it was just
it was a good experiment.
It was a good experiment, and we did definitely see an uptick in shares. By people who were not at all
to it at all. I mean, like not even past the first. I went back like, how deep do you have to watch this video? Because some of these videos tend to be a little bit longer. But I was like, how deep do you have to go to hear us like ridiculing the headlines that we were putting out? It was like 2 minutes. Like it wasn't long at all. You know what I mean? So it was very much just hey, that's awesome.
Yeah.
You can't tell me to stay at home.
And I think for our brand and what we're trying to do, that wasn't a win. But for the results we saw is a win for a lot of people's brands.
Yeah, exactly. Shares, like that was, one of the more shared videos that we had. And so, if that's what mattered to us, then we would just keep doing that all the time.
We want genuine conversation with You know what I mean? Not
We're looking to be a little bit more entertaining than C-SPAN, but
yeah, just a little bit though, not much.
Yeah.
And so for us, that didn't make sense long term for us. But you know, for a lot of the news sources out there right now, it does make sense long term, and that's what we're dealing with. Like we're dealing with that stuff. You know, I don't even know if it's. I don't know that I've ever. I can't name a BuzzFeed or a Blaze or a Vox. You know, and Vox. I don't want to trash them because we're reading the guy's book and I like it. But like, but like those, I don't.
They're more
know
like
them.
nerdy though. Like they're not like your Blaze, your BuzzFeeds. Like they're much more like poll driven stuff, but they are progressive leaning. Just like 538's a little bit more leaning to the left, but it largely is just like polls.
But
and
I wouldn't even start. I mean, most of my news I get is from political news is from you. Or, or, you know, other friends. Or like somebody shares something on Facebook and I know, I may not read the article, I'll just know about it. So I'll ask somebody, you know, hey, what do you know about this? You know what I mean? And get someone's opinion. But I was looking at my news app on my phone. We were kind of talking about this. And like it'll send me a little notification with news articles. And some of them will be, you know, who do I have here? Wall Street Journal will be on there. You know, I've got, you know, Fox News will come up sometimes. CNN will come up sometimes. NBC News. This is a BuzzFeed here. I've got which this one was odd. I've got a Us Weekly. It's like a magazine.
And then some of those.
Real Simple? What is Real Simple?
I have never heard of that.
News? Vogue? That's not. What is no. Why is that in my news app? So I think what is considered news has almost kind of changed, you know what I mean?
No, I mean, so it's one of those things where when we don't have you know, clear definitions for things, they kind of start to fade in or fold into each other. So when you start using the news as entertainment, then entertainment becomes news, you know what I mean? So that's why you see like on YouTube, you know, there's always a drama between some famous YouTuber with another one, and it's what they do it on purpose to drive up ratings, you know what I mean? Or to drive up those clicks, and sometimes those go out of hand. But he was pointing to the media a little bit acting as entertainers rather than, you know, objective journalism, because it's a weird rope. Like you have to compete in this. You kind of have to be a little entertaining, but that doesn't mean that you can't be objective. But you know, like Fox News has objective journalists in certain sections, but most people are going there for the opinion guys. So you can't say that like the opinion guys are giving it to you straight. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I mean, at the end of the day too, though, for me, like I'm not interested in, like, I take a guy like Ben Shapiro. Okay. Yeah. So he does some sort of podcast. He's on shows all the time and stuff. I've heard him speak on a number of things. I think Ben Shapiro is intellectual. I think he's smart. I think he reasons out his arguments. You don't have to agree with me, but I think all those things are true. I also happen to like a lot of the end result that he comes to most of the time. Not all the time, but I like the end result. But this is the thing. I've watched, you know, 12, 14 Ben Shapiro videos. I can see Ben Shapiro's picture on a video with a headline about an issue, and I know exactly where he lands. I don't have to consider
exactly.
I don't have to watch that. I know where he's going to land because I know where his brand is.
Yeah, it's more just like, hey, patting you on the back, like, hey, guys, we're going to BS our way to this point, but we know where we're going to go. You know, for him, like, it was a few episodes ago when I forget which media head I think it was like Sean Hannity. Like if Sean Hannity came out if he did some, and I hope he would come
I did
out,
some research, friends.
Turns out I'm wrong on like 80% of the things that I spit out every day.
Yeah.
For him to switch would upend his life. He would be out of a career. He'd have to start from the bottom and go up. So it almost is self-interest for these guys to end up where they are, which, you know, what does that say about the people who follow these guys religiously? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but I will not push back on your claims of Ben Shapiro, even though I think it was 100% false. I will push back on what you said, how you perceive stuff, because that was a big thing that these guys, tend to put us against each other more and shape our views on what we believe is reality when it's not even the case at all. Ezra said I'll only talk about one study this time, but they were talking about a poll. I think it was with Duke University. I could be wrong there, but they were asking what each party believed about the other party. And they asked them about, excuse me, how many Republicans earned over $250,000 a year? How many are seniors? Democrats said 44% owned over 250, and the actual number is 2%.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Seniors, they thought it was 4 and 10. Actual 2 out of 10, so like half. GOP, when asked about how many they believe are gay or lesbian or bisexual, they were like 38% of Democrats are that, and the real number is 6. Yeah. And then 46% were black, 44% being within a union, and the actual number is 24 and 11%. And those numbers are kind of jarring. I mean, like, even for me,
that's like way off.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is the mirror part. Like, this is a
but
reality.
I'll say there's a couple there though, like in a union.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know that I would, like, if someone said, 30% of Democrats are in unions.
Yeah.
I don't think I would push back on it.
That's what I mean.
I just don't know. So I'd be like, okay, I guess they are. Even though they're not. You know what I mean?
The problem is I don't know if it's like if people are lying or if they're just, dumb on stuff. So that was a guy that I listen to sometimes. He brings that up. I don't know if you're lying or if you're stupid, but at some point, like, these guys who do this every day have to be lying. You know what I mean? Or they just don't care enough to look into it, which I can't pick which of those is worse when you like have a big following, and you would want to be doing your research.
Your ignorance can only last so long. When you're in a place like that and you're getting constant feedback and you're having guests on your show rebutting you, like, your ignorance can only last so long.
Well, but if your brand is that you're right and everyone who disagrees with you is a hater, then that just feeds, that actually would do more to prop you up, because if you can just talk fast and spew some, focus on a few stats that prove you're right without, digging in and seeing what all feeds into that, then you're just going to come out on top. The people who agreed with you are going to agree with you.
Well, I thought that was interesting. So so Donald Trump had some interview. I saw a clip of it, but he did some interview. I forget who it was with. But talking about COVID and talking about how the death rate in the United States is climbing again. It had been climbing, then it dropped down, and now it's climbing again. Having these, and he said, well, actually, our death rate is lower. And Donald Trump was using a figure based on
overall population.
No, not overall population. He was doing it based on positives, the death rate, giving that percentage. Where the guy that was interviewing was obviously looking at, well, this country only has these many deaths. He was looking at it per capita, per population. Yeah. And it was funny because they were sitting there debating, and I don't know who this guy was. I don't know where he's from.
Are you talking about the Axios interview
maybe
on HBO? Maybe.
Yeah,
that one.
So, and I'm sure he's got an opinion, the guy doing the interview. Yeah. But it was just funny, like, there for a moment, he was like, oh, no, but isn't it valid to look at it per population? Like that? Yeah. That's a valid number to look at.
Yeah, exactly.
That's going up, and it's higher than a lot of other countries.
Yeah.
But it was interesting watching Donald Trump so mired in, no, the stats that people shared with me were based on something that made it look right and made it look like we were winning. And so I give him a little bit of grace, because I think the people that prepared him for the meeting were like, no, these are the talking points you need to shift to.
This is what I've heard of his administration a lot, is that a lot of times, like, bad numbers, people are almost afraid to bring it to him because he is so against bad news that he just can't take it. And so he's going to lash out on you and blame it on you and tell you how you're wrong and you're making him look bad. Like, look how many campaign managers he's went through as his polls have started to slide, his cabinet members go in and out all the time.
Constantly.
So if you see that and you're in that work environment, you're not going to be the one to tell the emperor that he's naked. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, for sure. But I thought that was funny in that interview. I was like, oh, he's ignorant of this. He doesn't understand. Like somebody did not, like maybe because of the culture he created, but somebody did not prep him with valuable information here.
Yeah.
He should have known both, even if he was going to pivot to the other one. He should have walked in knowing, you know, what that, and he seemed completely clueless. Like, why would we consider death against population? Because that's a good evaluation.
Yeah. For a news host, cool. For the leader of America, what the heck? You know, like what are we doing?
But I see things like that. I see a shaping, you know, that's statistics, right? We can shape them to whatever we want. You know, we can make statistics say anything if we grab the right numbers and compare them.
If you grab the right numbers and speak with, you know, enough conviction, it's all about confidence. And if you're speaking to people who are ill-informed, like you can bring stats up to people who know, you know, are on the ground and know what's going on. They're like, man, that's you're looking at a piece of it.
Yeah. And I think that's valuable. I think that's what happens a lot of news, and why you can watch someone on Fox News and you can watch someone on, you know, the other side. What's the other side? MSNBC.
I don't know. I'm watching CNN is just crazy.
But if I'm watching those and I can see people absolutely convinced on an issue, one polar direction, and then I can see people convinced absolutely in the other polar direction. How I can understand that is that they are looking for information that proves their point. And when they find it, they just ingest it constantly.
Yeah. Ignore what doesn't agree with you. I don't watch much cable news.
Yeah.
I'll see a clip from this guy, Chris Hayes, every once in a while, and I kind of like him. He seems well informed. Again, that might be like 5 minutes every week that I'll see something from him.
Yeah.
But he referred to these guys as and himself too as wedding DJs. You know, it's all about who's going to get you on the dance floor.
Keep
you know what I mean?
Yeah. Keep them on the dance floor.
It's crazy. What would seem like the obvious remedy for this is to just try to consume both. But studies have shown that being exposed to opposing views just pushes you more in the direction you're already at. You know, it's just going to piss you off if you see, like, you know, if Trump calls Joe Sleepy Joe, you're like, yeah, that guy's stupid. But then if he says something, you know, if you're looking at from the left to the right, if you know, Trump says something that you don't like, you're going to just call him an idiot. And then you're going to defend whoever you need to defend to make sure that Trump loses. You know what I mean?
And I think that's something you put in the book there, that like just balancing it out. You know what I mean? Yeah. If I'm an MSNBC consumer, I can't just take a day out of the week and watch Fox News and think that I'm getting a balanced approach. Or hearing the other side in a way that helps me.
No, you're just gonna.
I'm just going to
point to where they're wrong when you watch them. Yeah. And I don't want to I'm not saying that to say that I think both sides are valid, because I absolutely don't.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
I think that, you know, we're going off a cliff with the current administration, and it's, you know, time to maybe turn towards the center a little bit more than I would like to. But I think the way that we stop this is to stop sharing articles that we haven't read, and stop paying attention to media that is vapid, that at the end of the day shares nothing. He pointed to, do you remember the that news story that was just like there for like, it seemed like forever, those kids in MAGA hats, and he points to it in this chapter, and they're like facing off with a Native American guy banging a drum. And it was like the more stuff came out, the more like one side looked bad and the more the other. I found out that kid just turned 18, and he got like some huge settlement from, I think it was CNN, like millions of dollars, which cool. But we should step back and say, why the hell did that story matter at all? Like, what was the point of us arguing over that? Like, who got hurt in it? Like in that incident, not the media response or anything, but like in that moment, you had a nonviolent act where two people who disagreed with each other disagreed. Cool. You know,
Yep.
like why did we make that a big thing?
Yeah.
What policies changed? What lives were affected?
Nothing. It didn't affect anything like that. All it did was sell media.
Yeah, I mean,
that's what it is.
Filled the airtime, you know,
Yep.
like it filled those 24-hour news programs, and it was easy to pick a side, you know.
Yeah.
And it was easy to point out the flaws in the other one's argument, and it was really pushed by like, you know, like the Donald Trump Juniors and the Kathy Griffins. It's like, see, this is what the left does, or see, this is what the right does with everything. They're all racist, or they're all, you know, jump at reactions, or jump to reactions, and don't wait for the full story to unfold. And ultimately, it meant nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I guess the question is then, what do we do about this? Like, is that our only option? We
turn off the entertainment. Yeah, I mean, don't go ill-informed, but like, you know, if you're going to have an opinion, I think you got to do the work. And that is reading, that is looking at actual polls, you know, like everyone's screaming about like Medicare for all. That was a big polarizing issue, and the media made it something. But if you look at the actual polls, like it was something like 60 to 70% of Americans think some sort of moving to like a single payer health system would make sense. Yeah. I know too many people in Tennessee, like friends and family, that are on TennCare for this not to make sense. You know what I mean? Like, it's just an easy policy where you are guaranteed health care.
But if
seniors are guaranteed like vision and dental care.
If you frame the headline correctly, people that are on TennCare will say, I'm against government health care.
Yeah.
You know, and without even realizing that that's what they have.
No, I know. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's if you frame that headline.
I don't want a handout and then you're on, you know, and nothing against you. I like those programs. I like making sure that people don't go hungry and can get
absolutely.
I like preventative care because it's cheaper for society than having to pay for a heart replacement. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
or some emergency you know, extraction surgery.
Yeah.
But all that to say, like, I think it was like Chomsky who says, like, if you tell someone, hey, do you want to pay more taxes? Everyone's going to say no. But if you're like, hey, do you want better schools? Do you want better roads? Yeah. Then they're like, of course. Yeah. And they're like, okay, this is how we have to get there. Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm cool with that.
Well, that makes sense then. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay. So it's turning it off, or at least gauging it and understanding. And you talked about being informed, and you know, it's election season is the time I hate the most.
Yeah.
Because people get online and say, if you don't vote, you can't complain. And this is my problem with that. I think you can complain all you want. I think complaining, you can do anything you want to. I don't have to respect you when you do it. Yeah. But you can complain all you want to. But this is the thing, like maybe we're having that same conversation. I feel like we had it last episode where we talked about, or maybe we did it in the Gooder People, the patron thing. Maybe we talked about then. But should we have some sort of qualification to vote as opposed to it being our right as an American citizen?
Oh, yeah. No, we didn't talk about that in the episode.
We talked about that in the episode.
When I was trying to bring up Socrates saying that, and then you got a good clip out of it. It's like, what a pretentious little crap. You know?
So I was listening to Socrates this week.
It was relevant, and I was trying to be sarcastic or like, you know, fake pretentious, and it just came across as just like full on. Like,
it was such a great quote. Like that pullout was so good. It made you look horrible.
I was like trying to bounce it off you, like, isn't this funny? And you just like rolled your eyes, like, what an idiot. I'm like, okay, cool. I guess we're not doing the 1-2 comedy here anymore. But.
No, but I mean, maybe is that something you work up to? Is that something you qualify for, voting? You know what I mean?
I don't think so.
This is the thing. People that are the most informed are the ones that vote, right?
Yeah, but
didn't we talk about that already?
Yeah, we talked about the ones who are most informed are the ones that vote, and they're also
the most polarized.
Yeah, the ones who will, like, the most intelligent people will use their intelligence not to come to a better conclusion, but to argue against facts, you know?
Yep.
So, I don't know. It's like, what do you do? I don't know.
Yeah.
I know that what we're doing right now is not working, though. Yep. So, I think the first thing to do is to, obviously if it's not working, then stop it. So if this polarizing entertainment as a news source is what is putting us in these corners, then we got to turn them off. You got to turn off that AM radio,
Yep. Yeah.
and those deep web, deep corners of the web,
those
toxic opinion websites.
Yeah, those Reddit.
A general rule of mine is if your website, you're trying to give me information and your website is like selling supplements, then that's not the place for me. This guy says that the world is ending, and he also has a great deal on bunker food. So that he's looking out for you.
Yeah. Thank goodness he's on the forefront of this. Not only telling us the problem, but has a solution for it.
I've got a solution for you, too.
Speaking of which, we think all good coffee is drank out of good coffee mug. I'm just kidding.
Wait, what?
I was gonna do a pitch because we were gonna roll out coffee mugs at some point.
Oh yeah,
I think we should. We haven't yet, but
no.
I think a coffee mug with our logo on it would be good. Also, with the world going the way it is, you want a good solid coffee mug in your hand.
At any point in time, the zombie apocalypse could happen. Don't you want to be ready, caffeinated, ready to
go? All right, we're getting to the end of this. What have we left out that we need to talk about here, Curtis?
I think that was it. He talks a lot about the media's role in Trump's ascension through the Republican primary, and it's really good. A good
he talked
case
about
study.
Percentages of airtime.
52% of the airtime when there was 17 people in the race. I think I said last episode that there was so many other better candidates for the country. Yeah. I didn't like any of them at all. I would never vote for any of them, but I don't think they
But so many other ones that would have gotten you conservative judges appointed, right? That would have took a
done everything
defensive look at illegal immigration. Like they would have done, they were all those things too.
Jeb Bush, I think it was last year or the year before, he had an interview where they were asking about Trump, and he's like, "I like everything he's doing. I just wish he wasn't so mean." Turns out that meanness and those tweets have kind of wrecked our reputation internationally a little bit, and some people might see that as good. It's like, he's pissing off the right people, but it's like, okay, but how's that going to work for us in the long term? You know what I mean? Like currently with the COVID response, with him at the federal, driving that train on the federal, then we are currently not allowed to travel to most countries in the world. Like they've got an American ban.
Since Trump's loud, rude behavior, sold more commercials and more commercial space on both conservative and more liberal leaning media. He got more airtime.
CNN, they said he got 79%. It was 70 something. And I can't remember if it was CBS or ABC. The CEO was like, "I don't know if he's good for the country, but he's damn good for our ratings."
That was CBS.
CBS.
Yep.
He's like, "Keep at it, Trump." And Ezra's like, "I don't know if he'd say that now." After he might have some buyer's remorse from that.
Well, and I just wonder how many people kept silent. Like maybe everybody's just in news media for money. Maybe that's the case now. But how many guys that are legitimate on MSNBC that are sitting there looking at their notes that came from writers or show producers, and they're looking at it and they're like, can we not move on to something different?
But then, as Ezra said, they've got a tracker that tracks when something is shared on Facebook. So they're also looking at that as like, yeah, man, it's a really tough pill to swallow. But look at all these shares that we had because you keep talking about Trump and all these guys who are super Trump or anti-Trump are just sharing it. Like we're getting both sides of it, like the most polarized you can be, and both sides are sharing it, showing either how despicable he is or how how great he is.
Yeah. I have to believe that there's someone genuine in the mix that is frustrated that they're having to talk about something that they don't think we should.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
There has to be those people out there, and I wish they would speak up and
oh, yeah. No, that's kind of on their job,
I mean?
on their part, too. Like, they've got to start speaking out or
Who
doing
is
better
the
pieces.
Who is the conservative guy? We brought it up before, but he was doing I think we have anyway. But he was doing a radio ad for Sherry's Berries, and like he just broke, and you could like see it. Like he's like, Sherry's Berries? Like what am I? You know what I mean? Like what am I doing? Like we almost need some real journalists on these cable news networks to just go like, what the heck are we doing?
Yeah. I mean, talking about viral content, that's going to get shared by everybody.
It would be, and it would be more genuine. I would take somebody like that right away.
I think so too.
I don't know. I mean,
well, maybe not.
Yeah,
what they're for.
Yeah, but
I can't find this. Okay, go ahead.
The Sherry's Berries thing.
Yeah, I was trying to look for it, but
I forget. It was a radio guy. I forget.
Yeah.
Mark Levin, maybe, or somebody like that.
Sherry's Berries.
Sherry's Berries.
Kidding me?
What? And then he read the whole ad almost sarcastically.
Cool. You know what I mean? Great. Yeah.
But I mean, that's what fuels.
Yeah. I mean,
it was conservative talk. I know it was because that's so conservative talk radio.
Yeah.
That's who keeps the lights on. But
yeah.
I think we're at the point now where we have to be more proactive in our own lives to, when you see the headline shared on Facebook, don't reshare it before you read the article.
I was listening to I think it was New York Times. They've got the Daily podcast, and they were interviewing Jack Dorsey from Twitter. Yeah. And they were asking him like, didn't you guys kind of do this? And he was like, I don't know. It wasn't kind of like this before. This is just, a tool that people use to do it better. But they're asking him how he's going to fix it. And it's kind of what we're talking about now too. Yeah. But he said they're rolling out something where like they can tell if you've like clicked on the link before you share it. And so like they ask you when you go to share it, it's like, you haven't read this yet. Are you sure you want to share it? Or like, would you consider reading it before you share it? Kind of thing. And it's like, dang, man, you're going to.
Dude, that would be great. I mean, people will make a lot. Share it anyway.
Yeah. But at least it'll maybe it'll trigger that, in their head where they're like, man, maybe I should rate it. Or maybe it's not worth sharing. Maybe it's, maybe this headline doesn't speak full. Maybe this issue deserves more thought than just a headline.
Than the headline. Yeah. Yeah, I like that. So personal responsibility, man, that's what it always comes down to though, right? We got to be watching ourselves. And do we, I'll ask you this right before we close here. Do we call out our friends on this?
I think so.
You think so? You think that's a good friend?
I think if you're close enough to somebody, do it. But I don't know.
Yeah. What if we started talking more on Facebook about whether we shared something appropriately more than the content of what was shared? Like, what if that could be a conversation that was had? Does that make sense?
Like asking, is this important enough to share? Or like, because that almost comes across as condescending. I mean, you got to be ready to have some of those.
Well, I am pretty condescending.
I know in general.
So I think that would be well within my normal. But
I don't think anyone's looking to fight. I think everyone's just looking to make the country more like what they think is better. Yeah. But I think that comes at, people having to understand that this is a process we do together as a country, but also, he calls it bias towards loudness. Like, I think this is more about just, keeping the bills paid for these media places. And they don't really care that we're down here kicking down and punching on the same level as us. Like, I think it'd be better just for people to turn this stuff off, actually look at the polls and see, like, if something like a single payer or, border reform or, safer gun legislation is polling high, then we've got to ask ourselves, if 60%, 70% of the population is wanting this, then how has it not been done yet? Yeah. And it's more pointing towards like taking away the curtain and seeing like how business and politics are kind of intertwined right now. You know what I mean? So we're in the business of scattering the population. There are, intellectual conversations about politics. We'd rather them focus on, the tomahawk versus the MAGA hat. Yeah. And, why is this stuff not getting done? If we want it, if it's better for society, if we've got programs that we can invest in the general population and make this country better, why are we not doing that? Where's that money being spent? You know what I mean?
Yep. Well, all right, man. I think we're going to close out if you're good with that.
Yeah.
And hey, so this week for our patrons, we did another Zoom call with patrons. I was available. It was a good discussion. It was a great one. Again, we shared a little clip of that last week on YouTube. But if you'd like to support us and be a part of that, you can become a patron. We're actually rolling out some changes for that, and also a new way of interacting with each other that we're not ready to announce yet. But we got that coming. Some ways that we can interact a little bit more and have more conversations that we think will be beneficial for us. So so be looking for that stuff in the future from us. Thank you so much for supporting us and sharing us after you've listened. And get the word out there. Let's encourage people to raise the bar on how we interact with each other and how we stay informed.
For sure.
Going forward. Sound good?
Sounds great.
All right.
Love it.
Thanks for joining us.
See you guys.
Hey friends, I hope you enjoyed the discussion here, and if you did, go ahead and click that like button. That helps us out. Also, if you're not a subscriber, you should be. If you subscribe and hit the bell, then you get a notification every time we post new content. That way you can stay up on all the discussions we're having. If this conversation resonated with you, maybe share it with a friend over on social media. And also, we've got some other videos, so feel free to check those out and join in anywhere.